Hello folks, I'm back. It's been a few weeks since I last posted. I planned to take a couple of weeks off and that all went to plan. And then I've just really found it difficult sort of getting started. Had a few false starts, had some problems with my camera. Anyway, hopefully that's all sorted now and I'll be posting and sharing some new projects with you over the next few weeks. Now, at the end of the month, I've got an exhibition that I'm working on, group exhibition with some friends and colleagues, and I'll be sharing some of the process of setting up for that and sharing what I'm exhibiting, all of that sort of thing. But in the meantime, I've been working on the idea for a new season of work that's all inspired by Celtic design. And I'll tell you a little bit about that, a little bit about why and what I'm planning over the next few weeks as I get started drawing. Right, so I've come over to my drawing and painting table and I've got a few supplies around me that I think I'm going to need. I've got some watercolour paper here. This happens to be rough paper. It's just because I've run out of cold pressed paper and these blocks. But I'm going to use the rough because I quite like the texture of it. I have pens, pencil, ruler, an eraser. I've got some watercolour paints, a selection of brushes, some water, and then off to the side I've got a paper towel and I'm ready to go. But the thing I'm going to need is some inspiration. And I've been doing lots of research about Celtic design over the last few weeks. I've got really into looking at the patterns of the Lindisfarne Gospels and various other Celtic pattern books that I've got that I've been going through and just drawing some of the patterns in my sketchbooks, trying them out. So what I thought I'd do today was to do something quite simple. So look at this page, it's not simple at all, but it's made up of lots of different designs, and I thought I'd start with the simpler ones and then work up to the more complex ones. So let me zoom you in a little bit. So this page here, a lot of the pages in these books are made up of different sections, and then they've used different types of patterns and different scales of patterns to fill the different sections. The one I thought I'd do today is a step pattern, which is one you can see in the centre. There's also step patterns in these little panels to the side. These are slightly different. And then there's another page in here, if I can find it. Okay, this one here, these panels here have slightly more complex step patterns in. They sort of look to me a little bit like Aztec designs, I think. Yeah, but I'm going to have a go at replicating these. Maybe I'll do the slightly simpler ones today and then maybe save these ones for a little bit later. And yeah, so that's what I thought I'd do today. Do these as a project, paint them in watercolour, and you can follow along with me. Okay, so these patterns, they're all based off a single block that's just rotated and repeated in different ways. And the block is 1, 2, 3, 4 units wide and 4 units high. And it doesn't really matter what the units are. So I'm just going to draw a grid. So, and then work out what size I want my units to be. So I need to find the centre of the page. This one, the block is 20 centimetres, so I know that I can just mark at 10, create a vertical line at 10 centimetres. But obviously this will depend on the size of the paper that you're using as to what the measurements are. Draw that lightly and then do the same this way. And then I need to build a grid out from that centre point, and then I've just got to decide how big I want my grid to be. The smaller the little sections, the better the design will look, I think, and the more repeats you'll get, the more interesting you can make it. But then the more that you put in, the smaller the squares will be that you have to paint, so it might be a bit fiddly if you do very small ones. I'm going to do a centimetre, I think. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That'll be my first box. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. That'll be my second. And I'll come out this way as well. 4 centimetres. and 8 centimetres. So my final pattern should be a square this size. I'm going to put in the individual lines in there as well. Actually, no, I'm not going to do that up there. I need them at the top and the bottom of the page. So wherever your centre point is, I'm just going to choose a line there for my ruler to go on, and then I'm going to mark every centimetre outwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then do the same that way. So we've got these little marks here. I'm going to do them at the same at the top, and then I'll join them all together. When I've got all the stripes going this way, I'll do the same in that direction, so I'll end up with my grid. So I'll do that very quickly, and then I'll come back and join you when I've finished that bit. Okay, I have a grid. Right, now then, let's see. What I need to do is to create steps on the grid. So each kind of block of 4 is going to be like a tile that repeats in different ways across the page. So the first one is just going to be a single square. So I'm going to highlight that a little bit. Just make that a little bit deeper and darker, like that. And then the next one is going to kind of step around it. So this is the first step, and then the second step is this one, like that. So you're creating a little staircase. In these step patterns, you're joining all of the points that you've just made with either straight lines, or some of them have got diagonal lines. This pattern is all straight lines. So I'm just trying to like create the diagonal, but essentially it's sort of pixelated. So I've got one little square, and I've got this step design with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares in it. And then the next step is not that. The next step is just a little bit bigger, like that. That's it. So this one's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in it. So you're just sort of stepping around that design that you created. And then the final square has got 3. So I'm going to zoom you in and do that again. So we're starting from the centre and we're working out, and every tile is 4 squares across and 4 squares down. And you can work in whatever dimensions you want. So if inches work better for you, then you could make these 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch or something like that. So we start with the centre and we do a single square. That's going to be our little first one. And then the second one needs to step around it. So we're going to start 2 squares down and make this little step pattern, little diagonal zigzags backwards and forwards. They're not diagonal, but yeah, straight up and down zigzags. Join up to there. And then the next one steps around that. So it's this one here to there. So that's 2. And then more little zigzags. And then the final 3. Let's do that again over here. So again, we're going out from the centre with our single little pixel there. We're going to make a stepped pattern that contains 5 little pixels, like that. We're going to build out the next one, like that. And then the final one just has the 3 little pixels in it, like that. And then we'll do this one, You might be getting the hang of it by now. Final one of 3. And then what happens here is that these just reflect outwards. So with this tile here, this one 4x4, we reflect it this way to be that one. With this one here, we reflect it on this axis so it comes up there, and then we complete it by kind of flipping it that way to do the final one. I'll show you these 3, and then the other 4 corners are pretty much the same. So we're going to take this tile here, reflect it and draw the same thing out this way. So we're going to start with our tile of 3. Like that. Then we do our tile of 7. Was that 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yep. So I can see that that starts here. It goes in one tile, up one tile, up, no, 1 pixel. I'm getting my pixels and my tiles mixed up. Then we do our 5. And that should mirror that one. And then you should just be left with a 1. Do the same here. We're going to mirror this one. We'll start again with the 3. And then the 7. Then the 5. And lastly the 1. And then the last one is this corner one, and we can take this one and flip it that way, this one and flip it that way, and we'll get the same sort of mirrored effect. So I'm going to start thinking about mirroring this one here, and that should join up with that there. We'll do another 7 pixel step like that, another 5 like that, and finally a 1 in the corner. So I'm going to carry on, do the rest of the page, and then I'll come back to you. Okay, there we go. So the only thing I need to do now is just to reduce the pencil lines in the inside areas of the sections I'm going to paint. Now I've got one of these putty erasers. What I like to do is just take a little bit, and I can shape it into a little nub in my fingers, and then I can be quite delicate and precise with where I'm erasing. You can also get one of those erasers that's like on the end of a pencil, or something small or pointy, or just use the corner of an eraser. But I'm just going to go over my grid lines in between the tiles. I keep calling them tiles. So yeah, so if I've got a 3 here, I don't want these little lines in there. So I'm just going to go through, and it's just cleaning it up. These are all going to be so I'm going to paint this whole area together where these 5 pixels are. So I don't want to see any pencil lines underneath that when I paint it. So I'm just going to go through with the eraser. And one thing you can do at this point is, if you wanted to, you could go around and outline all of the lines that we've done so far with a fine liner pen. And then what you could do is, when that's dry, go over the whole thing with an eraser and get rid of those extra lines. But I think, having got my pens out, I think I'm just going to stick with the watercolour and just do it all in watercolour today. But yeah, that option is there if you want to do it in pen and then add some watercolour detail to the centres of the little box. Right, I'm going to keep going and tidy this up, and then again I will come back to you when I'm ready to paint. Okay, so I've got my lovely palette of blues and greens here, and then I have to pick a brush to paint with. What I've been liking recently is a flat brush, so one with like a square end. That allows you to kind of get really nice sharp lines. I think this is a good size. I've got a slightly smaller one as well. I think think the slightly smaller one might be allowing me to be a bit more precise, so I'm going to go in with that. And then I've just got to pick some colours. I'm just going to add a little bit of water to most of my colours in here. Not sure which ones I'm going to use today. I think I'm nearly out of that one. And I'm going to add a little bit of water to these puddles and just wake these up a little bit. I've got my greens up here. So whatever I start with, I want to kind of use the same colours for each of those sections. And I think I might start in the centre and work out like I did with the drawing, so that I can do quite, maybe I should do dark in the middle and then it kind of gets lighter as you get to the outside. Quite like that look. So I'm going to start with the indigo, which is my darkest blue. And I want to paint these bits. Now you've got a choice whether you paint right up to the edges or whether you leave a gap. And today I'm going to leave a gap. That's because I don't want to wait. If I was going to paint to the edges, I have to wait before I could paint the next bit next to it. The difficulty about leaving a gap is that it's quite hard to get the gap like nice and uniform. But this this flat brush does allow me to get like nice straight lines. So I can use it on different edges, kind of pull it towards me and get a nice corner and create a like nice little kind of square shape. I can move the brush around to get into sort of different corners and like draw the corner and then pull it back. Two. Let's do another one. Let's try and make them nice and uniform. But if they're not, it doesn't matter too much. It's a handmade piece. It's supposed to be a little bit, what's the word? Not wonky, but characterful. That's the word. I'll try and bring this one out a little bit. And I've gone too far with that one. I have to bring this one in. Sometimes it's best just to leave them alone. Okay, definitely characterful. Right, so I've got my centre square in the indigo, so I want to make sure that wherever I get those little dots, I do those in indigo as well, but they'll be on the outside, they'll be lighter, so I'm going to do the next bit, and let's do that in nice deep turquoise colour. This is phthalo turquoise. And I'm starting on this one, that's probably a mistake. But I can always turn the paper. And again, I'm using the edge and the side of the brush to kind of fill the shape and make nice square corners. Just try and draw it back that way. If you don't have a flat brush, the pointed brushes are good as well because they can let you get into the corners as well. Right, that's looking pretty good. I'm going to carry on and do these ones, and while I'm doing that I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So the Celtic patterns are because I've been, you know, I love patterns, and if you've been watching my channel for a while you know that I absolutely love all kinds of patterns, whatever they are, and I love making them. I love discovering new patterns, and I love kind of working out how to draw and paint them. And I have been really interested in lots of patterns from around the world, and I've really wanted to kind of get stuck in and, you know, find patterns from, you know, from India and from Asia and Africa and, or, you know, Middle East and all sorts of places. And I love the patterns of the Alhambra and the Moorish kind of Spanish patterns. Oh yeah, there's so much inspiration out there. But I feel there was a phrase that I heard a few years ago that came to mind, and that's from an author called Alastair McIntosh, and he writes about, well, he's written about all sorts of things, but he wrote about community buyout of land on egg. So there's lots of stuff on Scottish land and history, and he has a phrase which is "dig where you stand," and that sort of means that you can find resources and resilience and strength and inspiration for what it is that you want to do. And for him it was like community organising and interested in ecology and land and those sort of things. But you can find it from your own, from where you stand, without kind of travelling to other places. The resources that you're looking for already exist wherever you are. And so I was thinking about where I am, where I'm from, and I was born in Durham, and I grew up in the northeast of England, and our day trips were always to Bamburgh and that northeast coast. And now I live in Scotland, and there's a lot of similarity in the kind of the Celtic heritage, and you see like the Celtic pattern work on buildings, on gravestones, on jewellery, all sorts of things, and I've always loved it. And you can go and see the Lindisfarne Gospels at Durham Cathedral, which is just a stone's throw from where I was born and where my family still are. And so to take inspiration from those things that are close to you, like literally physically, seemed like a good first step. I still want to explore patterns from all around the world. I still want to visit exciting places, in far-flung locations. Far-flung to me, they might be local to you. And I do hope that I'll get to do that. But I'm going to start by digging where I stand, which is this place in the world that has this remarkable culture in art and design, and I'm going to explore that heritage for a little bit. So I've done my turquoise, and then I've got to pick another colour for the next layer out, and I think I'm going to go for a green. Actually, which green am I going to go for? I think maybe I need to mix some green with some of the turquoise. So I've got a sort of dark green, and then maybe I'll use a lighter green for the next bit. So yeah, the idea for this project came out of my explorations into art for positive mental health as well. I did say at the beginning of the year I was going to do research into that and present my findings, but actually my findings have been quite complicated. So it's not something that I thought, well, I'll just, I know what the answer is pretty much. I'll find some research that backs it up. I'll make a video about it and that'll be helpful. But actually that wasn't what I found at all. So what I found actually led me to a bit of a crisis, and I've had to have a rethink about what it is that I do, like as an artist online, as a teacher, and what I do kind of for my own well-being, and try and find ways that can all work together. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about the concept of flow. So I started looking into the concept of flow, which you've probably heard of before. It's the idea that that kind of state of being where you are just completely in the zone. You are totally focused on what you're doing, and you are just doing it to the best of your ability. It's that state that you're in where sort of time disappears, where you don't know whether you've taken 10 minutes or 10 hours to do something. So it's that state where time disappears, and you're just kind of completely immersed in what you're doing, and that what you're doing is of benefit to you. So I started asking, okay, so it's a good state to be in, but does it actually help you in the long term? And it seems that it does. It gives you more resilience. It helps you kind of become a deeper and more complex character. And it helps you to be able to cope with adverse situations as well. Sounds all good. And what I thought was that I was experiencing flow all the time. I thought, yeah, so I know that when I get sat down with some paint or pens and start creating, especially if I'm creating like small repetitive marks, repeated patterns, I thought that that's what flow was. Because I do feel some of those things. I feel like I'm relaxed, I'm calm, I'm focused, and what I discovered through reading the book is that actually some of that is just relaxation. It's not actually flow, it's just relaxation. And some of it can be boring as well. It's not actually helping you develop as a person. It's not helping you develop resilience or a complex character. It's maybe distracting, I think. That was my takeaway from reading up about flow, and the person who's written about it is, excuse me if I pronounce the name wrong, but Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, and I'll put a link down below to the book about flow that I've taken a lot of kind of inspiration from. But what he says is that you experience flow when you're in kind of like optimal conditions. And those optimal conditions are when you're doing something that that you have a kind of a good skills match for. So you're doing something where you feel competent. But actually, you're really in the flow when you're doing something that's just a little bit beyond your skill level. And that's what helps you develop. So if you're doing something that's really simple, he talks about a graph that... so yeah, hang on, I've got to fix this bit first before it dries. Yeah, I'll finish this bit and then I'll tell you the next bit. Is that because I need to focus on this? Maybe. Right, okay. Can think again. Right, so I've gone and got the book so that I can kind of show you properly. So it shows you this graph here. And this is sort of a kind of a basic XY graph, where this is the level of challenge. So the challenges are high or low, and then this is your level of skills, which can be low or can be high. And he's saying that the flow channel is where you experience this feeling of like flying and just being in the zone, and you're developing as a person, developing your skills. If you try something that is too challenging for your skill level, then you end up in this anxiety zone. It's stressful, it's frustrating, it doesn't give you that feeling of flow, and it doesn't necessarily help your mental health. If you do something down here that's kind of too easy for you really, then there's some relaxation down here, but there's an awful lot of boredom as well, and you're not developing your skills, and you're not kind of challenging yourself, and you're probably not experiencing flow either. So in order to get flow into this flow state, you need to balance your skills with the challenges that you've got. And he says that actually it's better to kind of slightly challenge yourself and do something a little bit difficult, you find a little bit more challenging, not a huge amount, but just a little bit more challenging. He talks about tennis and saying you get better and you have a better experience if you play somebody who's just a little bit better than you. If you're playing, a Wimbledon champion, you're just going to get frustrated. If you're playing somebody you're much better than, then you're going to be in the boredom zone and you're not going to learn. But to be in this flow channel, you need to kind of balance your challenges and your skill level. And that's what I realised I was missing. The problem is that I've been painting for a long time and I've kind of got stuck on my skill level because I've not been challenging myself, because I've been doing too many projects where my aim is not to learn new skills and techniques and to challenge myself to create. I do want to create beautiful pieces of art, but the challenge has not been great enough in order to get me out of this boredom channel and into the flow state. So a lot of that has come about because a lot of the painting that I do, a lot of the work that I do, I always have in the back of my mind, would this make a good video? Will people want to watch it? Will people want to paint this project? Will you be excited by it? Will you want to do it? And if you've been painting for many years, then you'll probably find the projects that I've been sharing far too simple. If you're just getting started, they might be at the perfect level for you, and they might just be into this challenging zone where you can just get going. What I found recently, and over the last year or so really, is that every time I share a project that's just a bit too challenging, not many people watch it, I get disheartened, and then I kind of get stuck and I kind of go back to basics again. But that's not helping me with my mental state. It's not helping me get into this flow zone. So what I wanted to do was to find some projects that get the balance right between being able to create projects that you can all follow along with and create projects that are joinable with, but also give me the challenge that will get me kind of higher up the ladder into the flow zone, increase my skills, and to be able to do that while creating things that are inspirational and beautiful, and you'll find hopefully inspiration in too. So what does that mean for this channel? I've been going back and forth with that. one thought was that I would just simply make really complex projects. I would learn new skills, and then I would occasionally share things that I was doing, but not do it as a tutorial, just do it as I'm an artist and I'm making this stuff. And I just don't feel that is really fair to you. So I want to be able to create a balance and create projects that will work for different skill levels. So however long you've been painting and whatever your skill level is, that you'll find something that you can do. But I also want to be able to create projects that are like ridiculously detailed. I want to create things that are just like you can look at and go, blimey, did somebody actually paint that? I want to be able to create those kind of things as well. So I'm going to try and do a bit of both. So I'm going to share projects like this, which I think are doable. And also, in order to help you, whenever there's something a little bit more challenging, I'll be creating downloadable outlines and traceable outlines and paint and print outlines as well, so that you can get stuck in with the painting. Don't have to worry about deconstructing things, drawing things. And I'll be doing more on my membership on Ko-fi as well. So I've been doing a pattern of the month every month over there for the last year. So there's a whole year's worth of patterns there. And then the 12th one is coming out next week. So you can look forward to that. So I'm looking to do a little bit more on Ko-fi and do a few more projects that I'll just record as I'm painting, that I'll share with you as inspiration. They're not intended to be tutorials, but they are ones where I will be trying to develop my own skills in drawing, painting, and creating patterns. I'll be trying to deconstruct some more complex patterns and then recreating them in contemporary ways. So there'll be a bit more of a mix on here in order to give me space to really, really dig into a topic and really develop it. So that's my plan for the next few months, and we'll see how it goes. And I hope that you'll find inspiration and joy and flow in it too. Right, I've just found an extra green I'm going to use. This one's a fairly new one that I got. It's Green Appetite Genuine, and it's just got some lovely granulation in it. I'm going to mix it with some green gold, and we're going to do these bits. Of course, you can do this in whatever colours you fancy. Okay, so I've got a central kind of bit done, and then the thing to do is just to repeat all around the edges. I'm going to use the same colours as I've used in the central sections, but I'm going to make them slightly lighter for the outside and kind of fade it out as we go to the edges. I do quite like that look. Let me just fix this one because it's drying unevenly. Not that it really matters. Right. So I can do these ones in the same green, just add a little bit more water to it. Okay, I'm just going to paint quietly until I'm finished. So there won't be any more talking till the end, so feel free to skip ahead if you want to. If not, then I'll put some music on in the background for this, and if you don't like it, mute it. And then I'll just come back to you at the end and let you know my final thoughts on this project. Okay, all the painting is done, so now I just need to leave it to dry, make sure it's completely dry before I rub out all of the extra pencil lines. So there we go, there is our Celtic step pattern inspired by the Lindisfarne Gospels. I hope you'll enjoy painting along with me on this one. And yeah, if you'll find a printable or traceable outline useful for projects like this, then do let me know in the comments. Now, over the next few weeks, there's going to be a few videos which are going to be about the exhibition that I'm helping to curate and set up and which I'll be exhibiting at. We're running from the 24th of May to the end of the month. So yeah, so it's all coming up fairly soon, and there's lots of kind of planning and stuff going on behind the scenes for that. I'm really looking forward to sharing that with you, and I'm really looking forward to doing it. I'll be doing some live painting on site, and I've got a couple of sessions, including a talk about YouTube and having a YouTube channel. I'm doing some gel printing, and I'll be doing some watercolor painting as well. So yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that. Doing some live events will be great. I always love kind of meeting people in person, and yeah, it's a completely different experience. So I'm really looking forward to that happening. In the meantime, I wish you happy painting, and I will see you again shortly. Thanks, bye bye.